Hello and welcome to the second episode of In the Same Boat. I hope you all enjoyed the first one. It's very exciting to finally have published it all. Before we jump into the episode, which will be a great episode today, just a little update on what In the Same Boat is up to. By the time this episode airs, we will have started officially our beach cleaning season, which is so exciting. After what feels like both a long and fast winter, we are finally operating. It feels great to have all of our boats back on the water and actually cleaning. So if everything goes to plan, we will have Liva, our smallest sailboat, down south near Stavanger in Norway cleaning. Then we will have our expedition boat Breeze sailing to the UK. It will go to Scotland and Shetland with a team of volunteers to clean, and I will be on that team. So I am very excited. And then we have Fawn, which will be sailing to Nordland area. And then finally Kielak, which should be either crossing to Svalbard or already in Svalbard by this time. So make sure you do follow us on Instagram so you can see all of these things. We have a lot of exciting projects this year and we have a lot to clean like always. So make sure you follow us. So let's just jump into the episode. Enjoy. Make sure you follow us on YouTube and Spotify and you can leave a comment what you think about the episode. Enjoy. Hello and welcome back to the In the Same Boat podcast. Today I am sitting down with Florian Dirkse, who is the co-founder of the Ocean Cleanup, the largest cleanup in history, as well as the owner of Saildrommen, which is Sail Dreams in Dutch, who is the captain, motivational speaker, as well as organize private and business sailing trips. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for being here. I also saw, based on your website and your LinkedIn, that you're somebody that really is a proponent to encourage people to follow their dreams, which is very cool.
I do. I give motivational speeches about it, fulfilling all the dreams I've fulfilled myself. So, that's correct.
Yeah. So I guess I wanted to start at the beginning and see, how did you fulfill those dreams? What were the events that led you to co-fund the Ocean Cleanup, and what inspired you to get into the plastic pollution world?
Yeah, it all started after I finished 2 studies. I didn't know what to do, so I started backpacking in Central America. And I got the chance to jump aboard a sailing boat and sail back from the Caribbean back to Europe. So this was the first dream, a big dream that came true.
Had you sailed before that?
Yeah, I'm a sailor all my life, thanks to my parents.
Okay.
Yeah, that's quite handy when you do something like that as a co-skipper at that time. But this was in 2006, I guess, and then or 2003. Then the dreams. I was so inspired with you have time to think about things you don't have time for in normal life. Yeah, you are also one with nature. We saw whales and dolphins every day and killer whales. And I was so inspired thanks to that trip that I wanted to do something the same, but I wanted to sail all around the world. So
Wow.
Then this big dream started, and we started saving money for 5 years with a couple of friends. They never sailed before, but finally, after 5 years saving money, I sailed around the world with one of my best friends, Arjen. And at that time, he had 6 weeks sailing experience. So
Wow.
we bought a city boat and we did a refit on it, and we sailed around the world. But we also wanted to do something back for the ocean. So what we did is visiting all types of ocean projects of World Wildlife Fund, MSC, Sustainable Fishing Brand, but also Sea Shepherd and the Red Cross. And we took some cameras. We borrowed them from Sony, good cameras, also underwater cameras. We did this in 2009 and 2010, and we filmed everything. And I don't know how, but we finally broadcasted an 8 episodes TV show about the oceans and about sailing around the world.
Wow.
When we came back, and we had this foundation called the Green Miles, and that's what we did, telling people about the important role of the oceans.
Yeah, because I think I saw a talk of yours on YouTube where you explained a little bit of the story, but also that while you were there, you actually saw a dolphin, I think, caught in plastic, just several wildlife affected by the plastic pollution.
Yeah, that's true. I think you saw my TEDx talk here in the Netherlands.
Yes.
I think 2009 and 2010, the term plastic soup was not so a famous term at a wide audience. We also didn't know that there was so much plastic in the ocean, so we caught plastic on this little tiny ring or a wire of plastic was attached to our fishing hook because we needed to catch some fish to eat during the 4 or 5 weeks trips on the oceans. We also caught a lot of plastic bags, but also on the beaches, of course. And then we were in the Red Sea at the end of the trip almost, and then we were snorkeling, and then a dolphin came towards us, and that's really strange because the dolphin was alone. Normally they live in groups.
Yeah.
Then we saw why, because the dolphin had a plastic fishing line in his mouth and went all around his tail. So it felt like he came over towards us for help. And that's what we did. We were able to catch the dolphin with the tail in the dinghy and cut the line. And I was eye to eye with my camera. I had my underwater camera with me. It was so special.
Wow.
But I had to convince the dolphin to open her mouth, and finally she did, and I was able to take out the plastic line. And there was some little blood, but she will survive. And the most beautiful thing, after 10 minutes, we saw a lot of dolphins in the wild playing with the waves during sailing. But when we were in a bay anchored up or something, and we saw the dolphins coming into the bay, and we tried to swim with them, they never paid attention to us. And 10 minutes after rescuing this dolphin, 10 dolphins came towards us, and we were able to swim with them for 20 minutes. It was just, we had the feeling that this dolphin came back with his friends to thank us. But
Wow.
to thank us, we threw in this
Yeah.
plastic line in the ocean. We throw in so much plastic in the oceans. And we were really in shock after this trip about all the plastic we saw.
Yeah. Yeah, that is interesting. Like you're talking about not knowing, not being aware of how much plastic actually ends up in the ocean. And I think that's one of the maybe hardest things with ocean conservation, or in our experience at In the Same Boat, is getting people very engaged, because although most people do have a connection to the ocean, whether that's that they live by it or that they vacation by it, you don't see the obvious effects of climate change or maybe plastic pollution. I think now a little bit more you're seeing it, that people are going out snorkeling and they can see the plastic around them. But still, like even me personally, not until I was a volunteer with In the Same Boat and saw firsthand where this trash was going, how much was coming in from the ocean, did I really understand this plastic that just doesn't disappear. It does end somewhere.
Yeah,
So
that's true. Of course, there's more plastic pollution in the five gyres in the oceans.
yeah.
And also on the beaches nearby the gyres, you can see huge amounts of plastic.
Yeah. Yeah. And also in places where, I mean, In the Same Boat is cleaning the Arctic. That's really where specialized is. And there may not be a lot of people, there's still communities, but there's so much wildlife. It's so rich in biodiversity. So it's still very polluted and very necessary for us to clean.
Yeah, I also heard some stories about in the north near Spitsbergen or something, that there's a lot of plastic pollution, but that's most of the plastic pollution they find is like shower gel or something, but always from Russian lyrics, and also always most of the times from men. So what they
Interesting.
think, and also fishing nets, of course.
Yeah.
So what they think, there's a big Russian fishing fleet that is from the fishermen.
Interesting.
That's an article I read once a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I mean, you have the border of Russia right there, so I'm not surprised that you would find also Russian products. I mean, we find products from all over the world, and a lot of from the fishing industry, but that is an interesting observation. But going back a little bit, so after this trip and seeing firsthand the effects of plastic pollution, being able to sail around the world, which is incredible. It's also like you summarized it very quickly, but I can imagine it was a test, a mental and physical test for both you and your friend. Then how, after that, what did you do, and how did you end up co-funding the ocean cleanup?
Yeah, but when we came back, first this sailing dream continued a little bit. So we were making this documentary, and we wrote a book, and we collected some money for a whale project at Cook Islands from Den Hauser with this book. But yeah, then there comes a certain time that you need to earn some money again. So I started working in the sailing industry. Was not so happy because my new dream was to do something about the plastic soup. But there was also 2011, the economic crisis, at least in Holland, all over Europe, I think. And so there was, and still plastic soup And when I called foundation the North Sea or something in Holland, they say, oh, plastic soup, yeah. Is it a real problem? This is 2011. It's a long time ago, but not so long. So then I started to search on internet, and in the States, you had some projects already, like the Five Gyres, I guess, also from the founder of the plastic soup, Captain Charles Moore, his foundation. And then I saw this TEDx talk from this young guy from Holland, Bojan Slat. In Holland, we call it a profielwerkstuk. It's the end project for high school. And what he did, he started this idea to clean the oceans with the big arms, put it in an angle, connect it to the seabed, and use the natural currents in a gyre to collect the plastic. And he called this the Marine Litter Extraction Project, this high school project. And then he was asked in Delft to give a TEDx talk about this project. I saw this TEDx talk, had 50 views or something, or likes. Doesn't matter. And then I thought, well, I'm from Delft, and we found out that we did the same high school. Aunt was my old English teacher. She did a good job, as you can hear. No, not really. But then I called him the next Monday after the weekend. I saw this TEDx talk for 4 times, and I thought, well, this idea, this can be feasible. Why not? And I asked Bojan, what are you planning to do with this profielwerkstuk, this marine litter extraction project? And then he told me I tried to find people to help me for a couple of months in the whole summer, but I didn't find anybody. So I just started 1 month ago my study aerospace at the University of Delft. First, I want to finish it for 4 years, and then I really want to have a look if it's really possible to start a really serious feasibility study about the project. And I told him, well, we are already too late. Oceans are filling up with plastic. So why not start now today? That's what we did. I volunteered for 2 days a week because I was working part-time in the sailing industry. And that's what we did. We started it with, the first goal was to have 35 questions. Then we started this foundation, and we called it the Ocean Cleanup. First it was Ocean Cleanup, but the URL name was not for free. So we called it the Ocean Cleanup. I think it's even more powerful name. So yeah, that's how it started. A friend of mine made this logo, and the foundation was started in this little village of my parents. So this is the real beginning of the project, the Ocean Cleanup.
Yeah, wow. And also at a time, like you said, that it's relatively recent, but it wasn't. And I think sustainability values are becoming more normalized now. So even in 2011, and even like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, this wasn't as a hot topic as it is now. So it is really incredible that even you guys were like, well, why not? Let's just do it now. And I'm curious, within that, what were the obstacles? Was it difficult to get people engaged in the project, to kind of show them that this was something worth investing in and that it was cleaning is valuable?
Not really. And I think also the reason is because we were, like one of the first. It's the same with the sailing project we organized. And we were like, okay, 2 young guys, 26 and 30, sailing around the world, going to sail around the world with do something back for the oceans. And so it was really easy to get people to help, to find people to help. The thing is, we had a lot of sponsors, and everybody said, well, okay, let's sponsor some solar panels for the sailing trip or wind generators, why not? And that was really great. And also with the Ocean Cleanup, 2 enthusiastic young guys, we believed in the project, of course, and also the same with the sailing. Like, okay, let's do it. We are going to do it. So can you help with something? And it was quite easy to get people involved. We didn't search investors at that time because the investors were the volunteers, for example, or some sponsors. And what helped, that the project went completely viral. We didn't have a website yet. A friend of mine was working on the website, but if you want something for free, of course, it takes some time. And we wanted to have the perfect website. But of course, we had this logo, and we had this header from Bojan. His high school project was a drawing of the platform. So we had this header, and Facebook was pretty big. And we had Bojan his TEDx talk, of course. So we started this Facebook page, and we had the email address info@theoceancleanup.com. So people were able to reach us. And then I think I fucking love science or something with millions of followers, etc. And they started sharing the TEDx of Bojan, and it went completely viral. At a certain time, we received 1,500 emails at one day, and we were sitting like, okay, what now?
Wow.
So that also helped finding people to help us.
Right. It's also a quite ambitious and attractive project when you just like hear the basis of we're cleaning the ocean, and it's not just like beach cleaning. I mean, same with us. We're not just beach cleaning. We're not just going to a little flat, long sand beach and just picking trash, but it's like, no, we're doing this in a large scale and bringing in technology. And I think obviously a combination between your both hard work and motivation and being in the right point of like being the first ones to do this and social media.
Yeah, that's true. And you want to do something good, so that also helps, of course. And you want to do it on a big scale, and you have a new invention, maybe. So yeah, and we really believed in the project, of course.
Yeah.
And we
I
did
think,
everything
yeah.
voluntarily. That also helped. We did. Finally, I quit my job, and Bojan quit his study, and we, after a couple of months, we started to work full time for the project, and I think we worked for 80 hours a week, completely voluntarily for a couple of years. So yeah, that also helped, of course.
Yeah, I think that's quite powerful. I think at the end of the day, it's more important like how much you believe in it than necessarily the experience that maybe you had. Because I can imagine that Boyan from high school didn't have a much experience on how to build an organization and a business, but the motivation and being willing to put all those hours in really makes a difference.
Yeah, and then you find people to help you automatically.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what happened.
That's true. That's very beautiful. While we're building that and seeing that it was feasible, that people did want to get involved, what are some of the biggest lessons or what surprised you the most that maybe you didn't expect to from the process of building the ocean cleanup?
Again, what do
I
you mean
guess
exactly?
just like what were some of the things that you learned, or what was the most surprising thing that you learned that you didn't expect to from the process of building the ocean cleanup? And
That I can work so hard, and yeah, my social life was not there anymore. So yeah, that was interesting, and yeah, a lot of things. I don't know how you can arrange things on a big scale. Yeah, that's really something. What we did was quite spectacular. Two guys, and well, after a couple of months, we had already a lot of volunteers to help us, and finally some sponsors. And yeah, it was pretty amazing that everybody wanted to help as well.
yeah, that's incredible. That's great. And then with the ocean cleanup, after that, what type of projects were you involved with still within the environment? And
Yeah, I left the ocean cleanup, I guess in 2016 due to different reasons. And I also wanted to have my life back a little bit. But I also believe nowadays a little bit more in cleaning the rivers because a lot of plastic, they say, they believe 96% or something from the plastic comes from rivers in the oceans. So it must not end up in the rivers, of course. That's even more important. So we need to do a lot about awareness, and that's also we can be proud of the ocean cleanup because the ocean cleanup helped a lot with the awareness in a lot of countries all over the world, of course. And also the plastic industry must, and the packaging industry and the recycling, we need to do a lot more. But still, it needs to be cleaned now. So after the ocean cleanup, I was asked for a project called the Great Bubble Barrier. And that's also a Dutch project. Don't know? Do you know the Great Bubble Barrier?
yeah, actually, when my colleague Solvi and I were in the Netherlands, we were able to go visit it. I think it was the
That's
day
true.
that we
And
met, you
I
left
was there,
early.
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was also a different reason you were there. Yeah. Yeah. Here in Harlingen, where I live, there's a new bubble barrier. But at that time, I think 2017 maybe, I was asked for a crowdfund and a media campaign for the Great Bubble Barrier to start that. And I left the ocean cleanup already, but I still had the team from the ocean cleanup, Arthur, now a good friend of mine, and we started this crowdfund campaign for the Bubble Barrier and a media campaign. It was quite hard work because the project was also in the beginning, of course, not a lot of followers.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we raised the 55,000 euros. That was quite a lot, and we raised a lot of attention for the project. And then Yeah, it's all started, and this project received a couple of million of euros from a contest. But then the founders were finally able to work full time for this project, and now it's also quite a big project.
Yeah, because the design behind it is that it intercepts the garbage in rivers through bubbles, that it
Yeah,
actually
correct.
literally makes a bubble barrier, which is such like a simple solution, yet such a brilliant way that doesn't have a lot of negative impact, as I understand it, on the environment, on the wildlife in the rivers, and is able to kind of get in it before it goes into the ocean.
Yeah, correct. And still, they every new location they are looking for new research, what it does with the fish and etc.
So is the bubble barrier right now just in that area, or is this something that can be replicated in other parts of the Netherlands as well as other parts in the world?
Yeah, the first one and still is still there in Amsterdam. They did some tests in Kampen near Zwolle in the Netherlands. There's another one for a couple of years now in Katwijk,
Hmm.
in front of the locks that goes to the sea, and the same now in Harlingen. But there's also one in Portugal already, and they are working on a lot of requests outside Europe, but also most of them in Europe and in the Netherlands. So I think there will be more news soon.
That's
But I don't
exciting.
know. I work for the project a little bit, but
Yeah.
just here in Harlingen to monitor the waste that we catch here.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I can imagine that a lot of the waste that is caught in that river is more household items, more everyday products.
Yeah, and it's also better quality to recycle it, of course, than
Mhm.
all those years in the oceans. It's not easy to recycle it.
Yeah, absolutely. That is like one of the issues that we run into because we are cleaning a lot of times in areas that have never been cleaned before. So we can't even really trace what it is, where it's coming from, and it's quite already disintegrated, which is also one of the most dangerous things when plastic then becomes microplastics. And at
Of
that
course, yeah.
point, it's polluted everything and it's really hard to actually get it out or clean it from the environment.
What do you do with most of the plastic you collect finally?
Yeah, so we do try to work with some recycling companies to give it a second life. However, in Norway, there are stricter rules with how you have to be able to trace it back. And again, there's some of the plastic that we're picking that is just like we can't.
Of
We
course.
can't recycle it. So it's taken to waste management facilities. And in Norway, a lot of it does get burned, which is not ideal. But I think worldwide, we haven't found the perfect way to.
No, it's not easy, huh?
No, not at all. But also in the same boat, as we're growing, we're trying to figure out better ways to some of the nets be able to recycle it and work with other recycling companies. So it's a work in progress, I think,
Yeah.
within our NGO, but also worldwide. Waste management is not something that we've really figured out just yet.
The fishing nets are in good quality plastic. You can do
Yeah.
something with this. You can also always make oil from it as well, but it's also not the right solution, of course. But
Yeah.
even maybe better than burn it. It's an interesting question,
Yeah.
and we need to learn a lot from it still.
Exactly, exactly. And we have to find a way to already get rid of the waste that is there with as little impact as possible. But the biggest impact is to try to, from the beginning, reduce the consumption. And what can we do so it doesn't end there?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And within being part of the environmental world and being involved in wanting to make a difference for the ocean, I mean, you've been part of projects that give a lot of hope and that are amazing and that are doing great things. And also at the same time, I can imagine like we're all very aware that there needs to be more change. What we just said, like there has to be something from the beginning. So how, I guess my question is, how do you remain motivated and hopeful when sometimes the progress can feel frustratingly slow?
Yeah, I think, yeah, I stay positive because one of the biggest things is that I see the youth growing up in a
Mm,
completely different time. Like sustainability is normal, is hip. In the
yeah,
past,
yeah.
when I told there was this campaign, A Better Environment Starts With Yourself in the Netherlands in the 90s, and I
Hmm.
went to school and I told my friends, oh, I didn't shower for 2 days this time. You're dirty and you're in Holland, you have this, you're a geitenwolle sock. You're wearing the woolen socks, you know. But this
Mm,
term, if you ask the youth here in the Netherlands, do you know geitenwolle sock? They don't know this term.
mm.
That's good because also sustainability is hip. So yeah, I have the feeling some young people will stand up and make inventions like Boyan Slot and
Mm,
that gives me still a good feeling, but we are way behind because the industries and the governments, they have so much power. And now this guy in the United States is back again on the front, and this is not good for the environment, for the future. But still, you see a lot of projects growing in different countries, also like countries like Indonesia, etc. Beach cleanups, also rules, government rules in the Netherlands. A lot of things are changing. Of course, Scandinavia was already pretty green minded, like Germany, but so I think there's still hope. But still, we need to do a lot of things. We can do so much better on recycling and make only the type of plastic that you can recycle. And why don't we do that already? We still make so many different plastic. It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's not good. So there's too much power from the plastic industry still, and the packaging industry, etc., and the governments. But still, I like to think positive.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think within the industries and the government, there's still a bit of a separation between society and humans and the environment, as opposed to seeing it as something interconnected and that one can't be without the other necessarily. And that we're like focusing on the environment doesn't mean that we just say like, oh, capitalism doesn't work and businesses don't work. Like, I hope to believe that there is a more sustainable way, a circular economy within capitalism. So, but there is hope. It is true. Like the younger people, there is such strength, and sustainability is becoming like what you said, hip, but also something that we don't even question anymore. It's like, well, yeah, of course we would do that. Like, of course we can't throw away plastic in the ocean.
Yeah, sure. I really hope that will change.
Well, now to kind of start maybe wrapping things up, I wanted to ask you, as you're somebody who is always saying like follow your dreams and that you've been able to fulfill a lot of your dreams, what is your advice to somebody who, honestly, any age, who's somebody who wants to, who has a project in mind, who has a certain dream but is quite hesitant in accomplishing that?
If you believe in it, just do it.
Mm.
I end all my speeches always with a, oh, sorry for this, with a quote of Walt Disney: "If you can dream it, you can do it."
Mm-hmm.
So, but you have to do it then, and don't keep dreaming. A lot of people keep dreaming. That's okay, of course. Yeah, when I have a dream, I always try to fulfill this. And a lot of people will say, okay, why are you crazy? Are you going to sail around the world? To work voluntarily for 80 hours a week for a couple of years. But yeah, if you listen to those people, you will never fulfill your dream. So you have to do it yourself and then believe in it. And of course, you will have bad moments. But yeah, I get some energy from those moments to prove yourself. And that it is possible and that we can do it. Because fulfilling a dream you never do yourself most of the time.
Mm.
Big dreams, yeah.
Yeah, because yeah, there's the aspect of having to, I guess, not really listen to the outside voices that tell you that it's not doable. But then there's also part of it that you have to not listen to always that negative voice inside your own mind. That can be your worst enemy when it's like, how am I even capable of doing this? And do you have any tips with that too, of combating that on your own mind, even in the hardest days where it feels like this is too much for me to actually accomplish?
Yeah, of course, I had some bad moments also with the sailing trip. We found out that the boat had big osmosis, so it was like underwater. The hull, the polyester hull, was falling apart like a rotten onion, more or less. And a surveyor came over and he was just retiring, and he said, "I never saw a boat with so much bad osmosis, and you want to sail around the world with it." And that was really, the dream was there, and you cannot change that. But finally, yeah, we cried for 1 weekend and we found people to help us, and we found more money to fix it. And we had only 1 week delay finally after 3.5 months working on the boat, and we just did it. So I always try to continue and not to get more energy from those moments to solve it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
this was a really bad moment, but yeah, of course, we had also fights with the sailing trip, of course, during the trip. But yeah, you talk about it, it's normal.
Yeah. Sometimes you cry it out and then you keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one last question that I am starting to ask most of the guests that come on the podcast is, what is your hope for the future of ocean conservation?
Oh, wow. It's a wide question.
Yes,
This
it's
the
not easy.
right? Because you have a lot of problems in the oceans. You have of course, the overfishing, the fishery. I really hope our little baby can eat fish in the future. You need to eat sustainable fish only, or even better, no fish. It's even better. With the overfishing, it's a big problem. But also the plastic in the oceans, it's not, in my opinion, it's not easy, even not possible to clean the oceans. What the ocean cleanup is doing now with this big towing, this big barrier with 2 diesel-consuming expensive vessels, I don't think this is the right way to do it, because they catch really almost nothing. They say, of course, tons, but this is not a negative story about the ocean cleanup, but I'm critical. Because it's not easy, and if you want to scale this up, you need way more boats, or I don't know. They are cleaning the ocean, so that's great. But I hope they will soon start cleaning more plastic. And I really hope this is an in-between phase to connect it to the seabed and use the natural currents. Because that's the way we did this feasibility study, connected to the seabed and use the natural currents. Because I believe more in cleaning the rivers, awareness, and it must not end up in the oceans. The plastic in the ocean is not easy to clean, I'm sure. Of course, it helps cleaning beaches, etc. But I really hope the mindset of people and industries, etc., will change. And of course, we have the oceans are heating up. That's also a big problem. And the coral is dying, and the sea level is rising. And if you know, the oceans are so important for human beings. It's 60-70% of the oxygen we inhale is produced by the oceans, and 50% of the CO2 it's absorbed by the oceans. Yeah, we cannot live without the oceans. But still, I like to stay positive. But things will change. If things in the ocean change, the environment change.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. The things will change for the better.
I hope so.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah. There's great projects like ocean cleanup, even trial and error, the bubble barrier. I mean, in the same boat, there's
In the
a
same
lot
boat.
of yes, there's a lot of young people of all ages very motivated to make the difference.
Yeah. So let's keep it positive.
Yes.
That's good. But
Yes.
also the sea level will keep rising for the next coming year. We cannot change this, but we can change it for the future.
Yes.
And we can change the future maybe for our children.
Yeah. Exactly. It's important to be aware of the danger without letting it paralyze us completely. Because that's also when, I mean, understandably so, like the eco-anxiety and everything that's going on can be quite paralyzing. But we kind of have to see, okay, what do we do with that? And follow your dreams. If you can dream it, you can do it.
Yes, important.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for sitting down and chatting with me today. Good luck with all of your projects and all the rest of your dreams that you have. And I'm sure we'll see each other at some point again.
Sure. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
And good luck with In the Same Boat.
Thank you.
Project.